The long-term trend line is a trend line that everybody wants to keep in mind. A lot of comments are made about the long-term trend line. The trend is your friend, and you want to trade with the trend. I mean, that's the basic idea that is expressed from all kinds of sources. The problem is that no one there's no established criteria for what defines the long-term trend. And this is a problem that we discovered right from the beginning, and it drove us into searching for other methods to understand what the trend was really all about. And as a result of that, we ended up with three trends. Initially we had a lot of fast lines, and we could see trends real quick with those fast lines. Today we look at the trend red and trend green, or at least I do, as the primary fast trend lines. When trend red is above green, you're in an uptrend, and when trend red is under green, you're in a downtrend. Other factors can come into play, other indicator lines can come into play, but that's generally what you got. And typically when they're both going down in a downtrend and both going up in an uptrend. But they will continue. For example, when trend red goes down, when it's above zero, it's just maybe a one-day pullback, and then it continues up, and that it may go down under green even a little bit, but stay above zero. If it goes down and stays above green, then it's usually a continuation of an uptrend. Now, the 7 short-term trend lines are your lines that we created as there's actually 3 groups. The trend trio, which is your blue, pink, yellow lines, they are the quickest of the 3 groups. The trend will move. They will identify a trend movement sooner than the other 2 groups, which are power green and orange and swing red and green. The swing red line is on top, and all of these are what we draw them in as wide lines. You have the flexibility of drawing your lines in any way you want on the TradeStation platform, but we like to keep them wide for visibility and for just the basic understanding theme of the system. Wide lines move slow and fast lines move fast. Now, the power green and orange lines, when green is above orange, it moves, it is an uptrend basically. There is a condition that I'll briefly comment on while I'm talking about green and orange. When green and orange are under zero and green is above orange, you are in an uptrend. But when under zero, power green and power orange are weaker when they're above zero and green is above orange as well. So in other words, the uptrend under zero is weaker typically than the uptrend above zero. And that's true for a lot of all the lines, but power green and orange definitely. Now, the master long-term trend line we obviously want to keep in mind, but it doesn't tell us about the pullbacks and the rallies that take place, the 2, 3, 4 day movements, because the long-term trend line can continue in the same direction. Or if you get the long-term trend line that's basically flat for a couple of months, then then you really can't tell much. the the seven short-term trend lines are are what yeah, yeah. Well, let me relate it to you this way. When we were developing trend lines, I mean, when we were developing trend lines, we ended up with three major methods to identify those trend lines. Traders, when you interview traders, they they really do not have a good handle on trends. They do not understand what's moving. They don't comprehend what trend they should be following. When we created the long-term trend line, we averaged it into one line. And our trend line, our long-term trend line, is an exponential moving average, which makes it more effective in our minds. And I think you may or may not agree, but when we came to the short-term trend lines, we ended up with the three groups that I've talked about on the trend chart, the power chart, and the swing chart. Those three, we considered averaging them into a short-term trend line, but then we saw the differences in the trend trio and the power green and orange and the swing red and green. And so for those reasons and other reasons, we opted to create three short-term trend groups. And some of them are, obviously the trend trio is faster than the other two groups, and the other, trend red and green, for example, excuse me, that red is always on top and green is always on the bottom, and swing green never crosses under swing, excuse me, I said that wrong. Swing red never crosses under swing green. And so a part of the swing red and green lines was our initial crossover line that established a trend start. When swing blue crossed over green, it started an uptrend. And when swing blue crossed over swing green, the uptrend was oftentimes very weak. And in those times, then when swing blue crossed over swing red, you were in a decent or stronger uptrend. And the same is true in the other case. When swing blue will cross over red, sometimes you get a strong, sometimes you get a weak start of a downtrend. But when swing blue is under swing green, normally the downtrend is nice and sometimes very strong. Well, almost, it's always strong. It's always, when it's under, if a downtrend is strong, it's the blue line, the swing blue line is always under the green line. You can see the difference between the distance between, for example, in an uptrend. When the blue line is significantly higher than the red line, you are in a much stronger uptrend. So that separation between the swing blue and the swing red will help you define the strength of an uptrend. There's lots of other ways that, if you've had a chance to listen to other videos, you know that this system identifies strengths of market forces and market pressures in ways that you've probably never seen before. And it has to do with differences between lines in several different ways. Now, I've identified those three groups, and this is the key thing that I want you to see on the charts. And in this example, I have all of the lines. They're different colors, but all of the lines are in bottom of cycle positions. And I basically want you to look, just think of your master trend line up here in the blue on the candle chart, and I removed everything else except for the gray channel bands, if you will. And I want you to identify and look at obviously the master long-term trend line, but where the short-term trend line groups are and the fast trend line groups. Basically, I'm talking about the trend red and trend green. I'll point out here something that you can identify with right away. Trend red went up to a peak right in here. It puts it above trend green, and it's identifying a uptrend. However, at this point, on this day right here, trend red goes down, still remaining above green. And that's indicative of what often happens, but we're still in an uptrend. The reason we know that, how we can verify that, is your zip yellow still remains high. On this day, right, I'll just move forward a little bit. On this day right here, zip yellow is at 83 and zip red is at 22. So we got a 60-point difference. It's a beautiful classic example of a red spike. The typical definition is red below 50, zip yellow above 50, and the bigger the difference, typically the better. Also, the flexibility in the red spike and red peak patterns is tremendous. For example, on this day, red could be down around 5, and you've seen me talk on other videos possibly about the zip yellow being down to 35 and even 25, and I've seen it less than that in other places, but again, on your videos, you're just talking about in general rule definitions, so people comprehend when it's a good point to do a red. When you see a red spike and a red peak, it's good to react accordingly. Now, red peaks and red spikes have a huge high probability ratio. I mean, above 95%. They're going to go reverse. They are a reversal pattern, and they're going to reverse the next day. Now, on this same line, notice that trend red has crossed under trend green, which is typical for the start of a downtrend, right? But what is happening is trend gray is going above both trend red and trend green. And that's a supporting piece of information when that happens. But the key piece of information, again, is down here in your zip chart. Zip yellow and zip blue remain high, specifically zip yellow. Zip yellow right here is at 95. Now, just as an example, go over here to the left side of this yellow vertical line. You can see that zip yellow is under 20. And when it's under 20, then you are typically or almost always in a downtrend. The peak here on this day, zip yellow, is at 22.9, so it's almost 23. But again, that's you deal in approximate ranges. When I say when zip yellow is under 20 and traveling under 20, you're in a downtrend, and that's almost always true. And when zip yellow is above 80 and traveling above 80, you're in an uptrend, and that's almost always true. Over here on this peak, for example, zip yellow is at 97, and on this peak over here, when the day that it drops, zip yellow is at 87. The other key thing that I'll have you just be conscious of is the two zip yellow and power yellow lines. They are highest and going down, and that's indicative of a downtrend. One more comment about trends is that the quicker way to identify them. Right here we have, and this is in relationship to pink-green patterns. If you haven't noticed, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pink-green patterns that are at 100 in a couple of months' time, probably 3 months' time. So in this case here on the pink line over here, your trend gray is highest, and they're divergent because trend red is going down. Zip yellow and zip blue are real high, and I'll have you note that zip yellow really drops off fast, and hence we have a significant price reduction at the same time. When zip yellow crosses over here, zip yellow goes down, but next day it goes down to 90. So it's not moving down as fast as it would, and likewise you can see in the other situations, like right here, zip yellow is low at 75, and as it turns out, it ends up going up after that, and that's not too unrecognizable, because your gray bands are going up here, and all of your short-term trend lines are going up. So you always keep in mind where your trend lines are, and as I have indicated before, your fast lines are the first line of a trend change, and then you verify that with your swing lines and etc. But note how fast zip yellow drops down here. That's the main thing that I wanted to bring out. And then as it's traveling all the way up to this first red line, it's under 20, and you got just a huge downtrend. So zip yellow will tell you a lot about the particular trend that you're in. This video is longer than I wanted it to be, but the identification of the trends is very important, and it's one that most people are really confused on. So I consider it key. I hope I was. Sometimes I quote, I say wrong color line, and forgive me when I do that, but it's a fantastic system. I literally stand amazed sometimes, because things work better than we even thought they might work. So have fun trading. It's an absolutely fantastic business. We love it, and we hope you love it.